He's on mute.
Does that, now can you hear us? Ronnie?
Linda's on too. Can she?
He's muted, I think.
Can Linda hear?
Right, somebody's right.
Linda tried to call.
He's on, can you hear us? Oh, it's hearing us then, it's transposing our words,
Yeah, that's
right?
top.
No one's typing.
That's a translator,
That's the
yeah.
translator. So
But they
it's,
can't
the
hear
owl's
us.
hearing.
Can they hear us?
I don't know.
They can
The
read
owl's
us.
hearing us.
It's the best we can do.
You want me to look again at the, open that? Little.
Can you get the cursor and unmute Carol? And then just click ask to unmute.
Yeah, just click it.
I can hear you. This is Carol. I was trying.
Okay, go ahead and unmute Ronnie.
Ronnie?
Direct.
Okay,
He's doing it.
I just muted her again, because she probably didn't want to, but she can be in
But she
control
can
of herself.
control it herself.
Yeah.
We unmuted from here, she can control.
Okay.
Well, hard to read that.
Very easily.
The first, I just clicked her microphone before, but now this ask to unmute is over the top.
click ask to unmute
And then, oops,
and go to the next one.
I think we're doing fine. Unmuted. But that's, they should be able to.
No, Ronnie shouldn't be.
No, but he should be able to change it himself on his.
You gotta go down to the bottom one that says unmute.
Yeah.
Try that.
Where does it say?
We're down on that bottom right where it says.
Yeah, mute
Right there.
So.
They're all off now.
Ask all to unmute.
Oh, Ronnie's just unmuted himself.
Okay, Ronnie did unmuted. Ronnie is good, I think.
Ronnie, can you hear us?
We can't hear them.
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can,
Now
yes.
we're good.
Okay, well, this is a little bit dodgy tonight.
Without, we have
Where's
no
Michael?
IT guy.
Yeah, we do. We had one step in. Thanks, Susan.
Fair.
Well, our audio visual, expert.
Yeah.
No, I was like, I listened to what he said the first time.
You're right. I was looking at the wrong screen.
Okay, so at the risk of ruining everything,
Okay.
I'm going to try sharing my screen.
Okay,
Here we go.
Meeting over.
yeah.
So we just have 2 agenda items tonight.
Okay, that's good.
So I'm not gonna bring up the agenda because that might mess everything up.
Yeah, let's,
The first agenda item is the, revised memorandum, which we looked at last time and which I've shared with Chief Franklin, and the 2 maps. Do you want me to pull that up?
Who's in,
I think
audience?
for the people on Zoom. it would be-
Oh, I should take,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm so confused, I didn't take roll. Sorry. All right, so we have Dewan. Sorry, everybody, we're a little bit, at 6s and 7s here.
Technical difficulties.
We have Dewan, Morris, Ronnie, I do not see Amber or Abdus. I do see Linda. And I do see Donna here in the room. We also have Jason Foster. And we have other members of the public online. So our first agenda item is to talk about the revised memorandum. I'm going to try to share that item, and hopefully I won't mess everything up. So are you all seeing that draft memorandum?
Do you raise it up a little bit, Margaret? Just the screen at the bottom part of the cutoff.
Yep.
There you go.
Right there.
Okay, so accompanying this is a map. So essentially what this does is it delineates a route through the city. The route from Fairview, you come down Fairview, onto Green, that connects, item 1 takes you down Fairview onto Green. 2 is the little junction from Green, up to, it's up 23B, it connects to 66. 3 is Columbia Street from Green down to Third, it does not go beyond Third. 4 is Third Street south to the city line, so that's basically 9G out to the city line. And there are maps that were sent out with all of this, but I'm afraid to try sharing them. 5 then is that little junket around Park Place, where it connects from Warren Street. It's just the Park Place piece. 6 is the piece of Warren Street that takes you up to Worth Avenue. And then 7 is 9, it's Worth Avenue out to the city line. 8 is, this is a piece, there's a second map, this is a little piece down on Broad Street, it's down at Basilica, and it goes down front to Broad, and then 9 takes you Broad west to Water Street. That is necessary to allow access to the dock for Colarusso. So that was that second inset map that showed that. And then 10 is just a little piece that goes up from Green Street, 66. So there's a piece, number 2 takes you up Green on 23B, and then 10 takes you on 66 out to the city limit. So basically, this memorandum lays out what we had popularly thought was the truck route, but wasn't. And it has been shared with the police department. I've shared the maps, and then we just need to get the commissioner to sign off on it and then talk to DPW about signage. So is there anything here, do I dare risk sharing the map?
The description's not tried, but Ronnie just texted me, he couldn't unmute himself.
Sorry?
Ronnie couldn't unmute himself.
Oh,
But he can hear
Required.
You might want to say something.
you might want to
it. We can
say.
chat.
Mhm.
Can you monitor the chat, or you want me to sit at the commission and monitor the chat?
Okay, he's trying to say something.
I think it'd be better to hear them.
So the problem is that when I share, we lose all, let me unshare.
Unmute your one, so maybe you could. No, I mean, no. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So if I stop share, you can probably unmute them. When I have share up, you can't see all those.
Well, Ronnie, can you unmute now?
Yeah, I can.
I think the problem, Ronnie, is when I'm sharing, we lose the mute unmute option, so if you keep yourself.
That's fine. I'll like wave or something if I have something to say.
Okay, so, any questions with the map? Or with the memorandum, it's what we've looked at before?
I have a clarifying question.
Yep.
So in the narrative above the list of locations, where it talks about only for local deliveries, so the last sentence,
I have to open it, I don't want to.
so I'll read it. It says truck traffic on any other streets within the city of Hudson will be permitted
That was an amendment we made at our last meeting.
only for local deliveries on those streets. So my question is, I just want to confirm that local deliveries would also include pickups at a location, like there's.
Yeah, he's mean by that, local delivery means like pick up and drop off.
Pick up and.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
I just want to make sure. Okay.
Yes, we talked a lot about the Dock Street and Second Street businesses last time, right, Donna? And that's not specifically addressed here, but should it be, or is it covered by that question?
I think it's covered by that, and I don't think we should get into it in detail on this map, because I think we need to try to put in place something that says that this is the preferred route through Hudson. Because this really maps out, you're coming up 9G, here's some options for you.
Yeah.
You're coming from 9 and you're going out to 9, you get in 66, these are the ways you should go.
Fair enough.
And then this whole thing down here on Dock Street is different. When I was looking at, I did not originally have the stretch from Front to Broad water. And, I was reviewing this with somebody who had worked on this in the past. And, they pointed out that we really needed to put that in there because there is no access to the dock if you don't designate those roads. So but technically, we wouldn't even need to have that because that's no different from the dock piece, but I put it in so there wouldn't be any confusion. So are we good with this? Can I move forward with working with
Yeah, move
the
forward,
police
yeah.
department? And I think that they are going to be willing to do enforcement, we'll need to talk to people that, like, there's a signpost when you come down Third that points in both directions on Columbia, that needs to go. It says,
Right,
it
that's
says
like,
truck route in
truck
both
route on both
directions.
directions,
Yes. So stuff like that we need to address. So that was our first item.
Margaret,
Yeah.
I have a question. So the problems that are surfacing with trucks, GPS directing them to roads that aren't on the truck route, is that part of our discussion on this, or is that a separate?
The only way that gets changed is by DOT.
yeah.
And so if we have this in place, and then we talk to DOT and we say, this is what we have in place, but we're still like followed up with them, I'm still waiting to hear from them about banning 53-foot trucks and about eliminating some of these access roads. I think the answer is probably gonna be no, is what I suspect. But I haven't heard back since I last spoke to them. But we do not control GPS.
And so is there a way though that we can contact GPS to say, I mean, once this is
I
confirmed?
think it has to be done by DOT.
Okay, so DOT.
Yeah, I think they control it.
Okay.
As far as I know.
So after presumably this gets approved by the, police chief, then
Submit to DOT.
submit to DOT?
It's the commissioner that was. So I'm trying to figure out who controls it.
Close the loop on something we talked about last time with the Second Street extension, I guess that's what we call it. I went by there and there are
Oh,
signs.
the one down the hill that you were talking about?
Yeah, across Dock Street, at the
Yeah,
bottom of
yeah,
the Second
yeah.
Street Hill, there are signs. If the dog park's on your right and you're heading south on Second Street Extension, there's a sign that says trucks turn right. And a
Right.
sign with a circle and an X through it, with
Yeah.
a truck picture.
Yeah,
It's not the most bold sign to not go up the
Okay.
hill, but it's there. So there's one that says, tells the truck to turn right. And then one that I think is on the opposite side, on the south side of that, of Dock Street, that says no trucks.
And going down, you're at the top of the hill going down,
That I
there,
don't know. That I didn't check.
I think there is a no truck sign there.
On the top of it. So the signage is probably okay. Doesn't specifically relate to this, just our discussion tomorrow.
So the other item on the agenda that I want to talk about, I gave you a document to look at that Jason had actually sent to me. We don't need to go through that document, but it's the asphalt design document. In the conversation that I had with DOT, the only avenue open to us really seemed to be relating to, weight limits. Because they were saying if it's a 53-foot truck and if it's legal in New York State, by law, we can't do anything about it. That was one of our requests, was to ban the 53-foot trucks. So, this was a document that, Jason shared that goes over different classes of traffic and what type of road surface is required, depending upon the weight of the traffic, volume, etc. And I think that, an approach that we could take is having, an engineering company, Creighton Manning or one of those that we work with, to do an evaluation of the streets. Green, Columbia, Third, and to come up with, an engineering-based statement about what weight those roads as currently constructed can actually bear. I think that may be our way of approaching the 53-foot program. We'd want to look at 9 and Park Place, because that's, Worth, Park Place, out of Green, and then Columbia itself. So what I wanted to put out there for discussion, Ronnie, I don't know if you can hear us. Or can you speak? You may be muted.
I think it is,
Is it
yeah,
thumbs
you
up?
can hear.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, you see, from outside.
Okay, all right. So this is the next thing that I want to start approaching is, tomorrow at legal committee, I have some things from Creighton Manning that I'm bringing forward relating to reducing the speed limit. And if this group thinks this is a good route to go, I'll take this to the informal council and say this is what we would like to do. We want to take, we still have some money from the truck study. We want to take some of that and then have Creighton Manning do, or another entity do, an assessment of what our roads can actually bear. And then we could take that information to DOT and see if we can use that to say, look, we cannot have trucks beyond a certain weight limit coming through Hudson, period. Does that sound like a reasonable approach?
How do we, enforce it?
Well,
We don't have a scale.
some of it is axles, but the other thing is that they do carry, I talked to Chief Franklin about this.
Yeah.
They do carry documentation from their of their load. And what she had said was, you know, they can't confirm because they don't have the scale that that's accurate, but they can look at the documentation of the truck carrying. So it's not perfect, but it's something, right?
No, just was a question.
Yeah. No, that was, they have to carry, documentation of what their load is.
Yeah.
Didn't someone, I thought the police at one point said there's also very hard to find a place to pull trucks over.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Really
Just a
only one spot.
location.
When I talked to Chief Moore before he retired, really the only place where they could do that, if they had a mobile scale, is on that stretch on 9G coming in, there's kind of a pullover lay-by.
Yeah.
And that's really about the only place where they could weigh anything, if they had a mobile scale. But I think it would be sufficient to look at the documentation that the truckers are carrying. And if we had signage up that said no trucks over a certain limit, then that message could get out. It's not perfect. Any other thoughts on that?
So, you may recall a while back, I had this November 2022. I sent a memo on truck weight limits research that I had done. And, I updated that letter and I distributed it to the committee in the last day or so in track changes.
Is that one of the documents that was posted for tonight?
I think so. I'm not certain if they posted it.
I downloaded everything.
So, I can summarize, there was some information in here that I just, tweaked, for example. Okay, there was a reference on page 3 about gravel truck volume, and I just changed the numbers from per day trips to annual trips. And the percentage increase on that from 2015 to 2019. And then, there were tables, these came from the MJ engineering reports. We had daily average trucks in the different locations throughout the city. And some of them, indicated aggregate trucks as well. And those tables, I had totals on them. And what I understand is they're not additive because you may have trucks in one area than
Right.
across other areas. So I just removed the totals on those tables. But relative to the truck weight discussion we're having, I think this is related. In section F on non-state truck route weight limit or truck size limit enforcement, I added a paragraph. As noted in table 2, page 5, unloaded class 8 trucks weigh approximately 33,000 pounds or 16.5 tons. Thus, recommend consideration of posting signs to eliminate trucks over 16 tons, except local deliveries on state and city designated truck routes within the city of Hudson. This would eliminate class 8 and above trucks on city streets with the exception of those making local deliveries.
What weight limit were you saying there?
33,000 pounds or 16.5 tons.
Was that empty? Is that empty?
Empty,
Yeah,
a class 8 empty unloaded is about 33,000 pounds.
we think we could eliminate trucks. Eliminate the empty trucks, is that what that's implying?
Like class 8 and above, it would eliminate those unless they're making local deliveries.
Yeah. It feels low to get through,
16 tons.
yeah, but it's like what is a class 8? Is it 2 wheels in the front and double axle?
I
Like,
don't remember, I mean,
but
the
like-
classes go up to 14.
right,
So I think so the gravel trucks, I think, start at class 8 and they go up from there.
right.
I don't think that we would, I think we have to have evidence from, an engineer that says our roads cannot sustain more than X weight. I don't think we get very far just saying, we don't think we should have trucks over a certain weight. I think there has to be a reason for it.
Arbitrary.
Yes,
I'm just saying it may be interrelated to whatever the findings are from the engineer. This is just a
Sure.
factual information designs there.
that was a recommendation from, MJ, right?
No, this was.
That was your
This is my recommendation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just
Oh, okay.
something to consider.
Okay. Yeah, I think our most solid ground will be if we can get permission from the council to have an evaluation of what our roads can bear. I think Rob Perry probably has some information on that. And, we're probably gonna be working with, Creighton Building on the speed limit issue. And they worked with us on the Stewart intersection, they know the city really well. And to me, that would be an avenue to go down. So that's my next step.
As I understood from Rob, to get money from some of these repaving programs, they're supposed to last 10 years.
Right.
And we know they don't, and he kind of acknowledged they don't.
Yes.
Columbia Street seems to be the worst, but Third Street has also seen like the repairs that they've been doing, but that part of Columbia Street at the upper that's got that they just repaired, there's no way it's handling low.
Right.
No way
exactly.
those streets are handled.
Right.
And they don't handle it for 10 years for sure.
Right.
It's just proving it. I believe the designs that I looked at, like, there's no way that there's that much asphalt or concrete
The underlay,
underneath.
yeah.
It's just not the way it was done. But I don't think engineers take a core, they can drill it, take a core out, they can dig and just look at the side of it.
Right.
Probably involves some destruction of some kind like that, destructive investigation.
But given what, National Grid is doing right now, I feel
I'm worried too.
Everywhere.
Did you see
There's
the
not
truck
one
that
street. It's not
went in
been
the
done.
trench yesterday?
sorry?
One of their own trucks went in the trench.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Great.
The front wheels were down.
Where, the
on
Warren
Warren,
Street?
on Warren.
By that port?
I don't know exactly where it was. It's on
Yeah,
photo.
because they make a big,
We're on the 400 block.
yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
they drove into it.
So that's pretty much where I am right now. Speed limit I'm handling through the legal committee, which I think will help mitigate some of the problems that we've got, particularly with the really big trucks that come down the road. We can try to rein that in and get enforcement. I think that might help. It might help with the speed as well, if the speed was reduced.
So momentum is something that makes things shake. And it's mass times velocity squared. So the faster you go, it's exponential. So, and I anecdotally can tell you, when they go at a reasonable speed, it's not that bad.
Right.
So they speed up, shakes, shake, shake, shake.
Well, and on Columbia, they're trying to hit the lights,
Right, so they said they speed up.
Yeah, they speed
so
up.
that's another factor. The lights, because the, trying to go, keep them, not having to stop is a good thing. But to do that, you have to speed.
It seems an easier to enforce for the police department. I've also seen state police do enforcement. More than HPD, to be honest.
Yeah,
As far
I
as the
believe,
traffic stop.
I believe for the most part, the approach was that state police were responsible for commercial vehicle enforcement. I think that may be subject to change, but that was pretty much a state thing. I did get information reports from the police department on accidents over the last 12 months worth, mainly because I need that to give to the engineers that are gonna look at speed. But I did get reports on that relate to it, but they don't in their accident reporting, they do not break out things that were speed related. It's just a summary of accidents. It doesn't actually designate it by speed.
In the past 4 months, 2 parked cars on Green Street have been rear-ended by people who left the lane. One of
On the
them,
curve,
one on after the curve, almost to Stewart's. Cars that just parked, just ran into it. One right at the corner of McKin Street place. Hit the Jeep so hard that it then hit the truck in front of it and moved a very large pickup truck 10 feet. But just left the lane. If it goes back to markings, that's where I'm headed with that.
right.
Is that it gives the driver some visual reference, and certain cars will tell you when you're leaving the lane if you have visual references. But, it seems in those 2 accident situations, it seems to me that, lines would have helped.
Medium.
They could have.
You're talking about the center line?
Well, there's the center line and the right, right, there's the yellow line and the white line. Cause you just get a better sense if you're leaving the lane. To hit a parked car, I mean, you're just driving along, you're distracted, you're looking at your phone, I don't know, but,
Well, that curve is very dangerous.
well, the other one was almost straight, it's just in front of Green Street Deli, it's
Yeah, there's no curve there.
just veer right and hit a truck.
So under new business, I know I had some stuff. Ronnie, do you have anything you want to bring up?
It's good.
He's good.
Translator, the translator.
Yeah, sound like.
Look at the background, it is.
It's in Hawaii.
Wow.
So Donna, you wanted to talk about, looking at option 12 again.
Yeah, so, I'd like to propose that we revive option 12, alternative to the state truck route. It just seems like so many of the problems we're having in the city all lead back to the fact that the state truck route comes through the city. And so, I wondered, and it just, I sent out a couple of the documents, I don't know if they've been posted, that we had looked,
They were posted.
Yeah.
we looked at, I think, last in February of 2023, so it's been a long time. Would it be possible, Margaret, to call up the map?
I'm going to try to share. So Ronnie, if you're silenced, I'm sorry.
Okay, good. So, just while the map's up, I'd like to just comment briefly on some of the big advantages to option 12. So it will substantially reduce residential properties and households in Columbia County on the truck route from 557 properties representing over 1,300 households to 140 properties and households. Specifically, in the city of Hudson, it will reduce households by 940. In Greenport and Claperick, it would reduce by 221 households. And it will add 10 properties on Fish and Game Road. That's the only addition. So, and so I don't know, it seems like a no-brainer. Why wouldn't?
When this
why
was
shouldn't
brought
it
up
be pursued?
in the meeting that we had in February with the various townships and with Dee Dee Barrett's office. And then a meeting that Aptus and I had with Dee Dee, I think, at one point. The objections to this, particularly on Fish and Game, relate to, even though it's only 10 households, a kind of a pull between urban and rural communities. And not hostility or just, a lack of willingness to consider routing trucks down Fish and Game. And that, I think that's, I don't know whether that's Greenport or Cabaret. It's Greenport?
It's Greenport, yeah.
Yeah, but I know that there was a lot of, pushback on Fish and Game.
So, I mean, I understand that, but still, when you look at the magnitude of people and households that are being impacted by the current routes and what they're suffering, and if we're talking about 10 properties on Fish and Game that are set back, presumably off the road, it's a more rural area. I don't know, it just, and then there was another objection, I think, to Healy Boulevard. I think one of the supervisors or the supervisor that we've been talking to in Greenport said it was close to her street or something.
I think
Anyway,
Healy is listed as a truck route.
It is part of it right now. Part of it is.
so this is the part that's not.
There's a piece that this would connect a piece that's not, if you look, I think it's.
It's that little
section
green
here.
connector between the two parallel orange lines.
That's Healy too?
No, that's Fish and Game.
That's.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Fish and Game.
Healy is the little
Oh,
one to
this
the left, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's that one right there.
That one's listed in the truck book.
It's not on the truck route currently.
No, what we have is going out this way, going this way. We don't have a connector there as far as I know.
Well, it's not a Hudson one, it's in Greenport, but
Oh,
but
right.
I think it's listed in the truck book.
Oh, in the truck manual.
Truck manual.
Okay.
So, MJ Engineering, who I reached out to way back when and asked them for impacts, residential and business impacts on the different streets. For the option 12, Healy Boulevard showed that there were 0 residential impacts. There were 12 commercial, no mixed use. So there's no residential impact. So for the supervisor to bring that up as an obstacle, I don't understand that because there's no residents.
I do know that Cabaret was very concerned about, the route that goes.
9H.
Yeah, this one.
The one at the bottom.
Yes,
Hmm.
they had concerns about that.
Well, they're also currently truck
Right, but
available.
their concern
They're not-
is,
Guided that way, but they're.
yes, their concern is, yeah, that's fine, but if everything goes that way.
The
Then
volume,
the
the concern
volume.
about the volume.
Yeah, it's not that they don't currently have trucks. It's that they don't want every truck going down that route. So, I mean, I think we could certainly bring this up. We could have a meeting with Dee Dee and see if there's the only way this is gonna work is if the state backs us up and says, we're willing to look at this. But it's gonna take, influence beyond Hudson to make this happen. And I do know that Claverick had concerns about everything being routed in that direction.
I mean, there's give and take, and I mean, those roads are better designed to handle these large trucks than Hudson City streets.
Yeah.
And when you think
but
about the residential impacts in Hudson are huge compared to what they are in those other areas.
That's the thing, give and take, I don't know why.
What are we giving?
Yeah, what are we giving?
And that's maybe where DD.
Here's your trucks.
That's
It's the
it.
trucks. I'm
Yeah.
feeling
We give
I
them
mean,
more
that
trucks.
has been their position from
Yeah,
day one. What's in it for us?
yeah, that's,
I mean, Fish and Game has been redesigned. That's all been expanded, it was made wide. And that made a lot of people very unhappy. Just
why
fixing.
not? Yeah.
I know that there's a lot of hostility towards having anything really done.
But also that road has been fixed.
Yeah.
And that has caused a lot of controversy already,
Mm.
just because they
Just
did
diversion.
get, well, some of those houses got very close to the road now.
Okay, so they lost.
They lost frontage and, yeah, I'm not,
Could they use 23B? I mean, does this really require fishing game? 23B to 66 to Healy Boulevard?
I guess that was something I was thinking too, is maybe we could go back to MJ Engineering and ask them, say, okay, option 12 seems to have the most benefits, but we have these significant issues. Can you make a recommendation for an alternate that tweaks this, that gets around those issues? And see if they could come back with another option that may include a higher cost. Maybe they have to build a road somewhere or whatever, but, or a road would have to be built, but I think it might be worth exploring with them. As opposed to just thinking that, well, this is the only option that we have. Maybe it's a modification of this.
so Claverick doesn't agree then.
Sorry?
Claverick is not interested then.
Yeah, if they don't want to go along with it, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
So Hudson doesn't have any rights or say in it? I mean, these routes come right through our tiny little city. We're surrounded by Greenport and Claverick, and it's like we're just at their mercy.
I mean, if we cut down traffic in the city of Hudson, then they have no choice, and that's their saying in the meeting. If you guys stop the 23B, then,
Block it.
yeah, then we don't have no choice, traffic gonna come, but again, that's the thing we have to take it, like, and then we have to somehow minimize traffic coming through the Hudson, so.
If you take it to the extreme, and let's say some miracle, you get Claverack and Greenport to agree to this.
That is sweet.
No, I'm not sure it is. Cause it's part of US 9, right? Are they gonna reroute US 9? This is part of, the truck book is New York DOT and US DOT. Would they, even if you had all the parties agree, I'm not sure they'd make the change.
Well, if we had all parties agreeing, I think that we would be able to get some support from our representatives in Carson South.
I think you'd still get a lot of pushback from the truck, what do they call, access highway
Mhm.
program.
Oh, yeah, we would not be able to persuade them without getting support at other state level. They are not interested. And so, in terms of, what rights do we have? Thing is, in that very first section, the very first meeting that we had when I met with DOT and I got that section of the code, where it states very clearly that if you have a highway that comes into your municipality and it exits, you are required to grant access. And that applies to, it definitely applies to 9. It's a gray zone as to whether 9G is part of that, because 9G was only included to allow for the warehouse stuff down near the river, but it absolutely applies to Route 9. And if it's a legal New York vehicle, we do not have the authority to prevent them from going through. That's right. Period. We just don't. And that's why what Jason's saying, even if all 3 municipalities got together, it would take a very strong consortium and state backing to persuade DOT that our and I do know that in the Finger Lakes, they did manage to put some stuff in place because a group of municipalities got together and worked on it. But it would take a very strong coalition to persuade DOT that this is what we as three communities want to do. So it's not, don't we have any rights? It's in the code book, we are required to allow access.
So then another option, we get back to, if we can't remove the state truck routes entirely, what about
They're not state truck routes,
or state designated or?
they are not state designated. We are required to grant access through our municipality for a truck coming in on a New York State or US highway and exiting our municipality. How we grant them that access, which is we have control over that,
Right,
that's up to us. So the state doesn't tell us where they need to go, and there are no state highways or routes or county routes within the city of Hudson. There are city streets. So we do get to say that. However, when you're coming down 9 and you enter Hudson at Worth,
Yeah.
there is no turn. The turn off before that is Ten Breck, which is a very narrow, twisty road down to the cemetery. It doesn't work at all. Once you get into the city of Hudson, the very next turn off is to go up by the hospital or to go down Warren Street. Those are your options.
Yeah.
There is nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
That's it. You can go across it or you can go down Warren. So, well, that's it.
so the only alternative then is what we were talking about a few meetings ago, was maybe we could eliminate part of the problem, and that would be eliminating 9G.
Which is they're
access,
sitting
and
out,
that would help reduce the volume on Columbia Street.
right,
Trucks.
and that is at the DOT right now.
That's what we're waiting, we haven't heard.
And we have not, I contacted them and they still have not given me an answer. I'll try again.
If you have a conversation with Rob, you might ask him how much maintenance savings he could envision if the trucks were not on those two pieces of road.
What were they talking about?
If Route 3rd and Columbia have been repairing like crazy,
Yeah.
if they're not part of the truck route anymore, and our truck route is basically in length of truck route is cut in half, how does it help this budget?
I think it's gonna help a lot,
It
because
seems like it.
every year the sword been cracking and stuff like that, the piping breaking.
And-
Yeah,
Yeah. And every year
There's a sewer under there, which
Yeah.
is,
old and.
which is all brick,
Mhm.
so that's when things collapse and they have to go in and repair all the sewer, which makes it even more expensive.
Yeah,
And that's when they've closed the street down, because they've had to dig so deep to put all that back together. So the sewer issue is huge. If there was a replacement on that whole Columbia Street, it would make a huge difference
yeah.
if it was not brick. If Abraham Lincoln hadn't put it in there.
I thought it went back to the Romans.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So do you want to, take this option 12 item and follow up and see if you can schedule something with Dee Dee Barrett's office? See if you can pursue that?
I think it's worth reviving it, because we're still considering options and we don't know what the DOT is gonna come back with. I think I would recommend writing a letter to Dee Dee. I think we should be on record expressing our concerns. She was able to get this grant for us to do the truck study. The truck study was done. We found an alternative that appears attractive. And we'd like to move forward, but we're facing roadblocks and we need some help.
I think if we waited till we heard from the DOT on what they're gonna tell us, what are they gonna say about a request?
Right.
That may be the better time to say.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is what we've done now.
We got
We
this,
tried
we
this
got
one,
this
it's over.
leg out of the city. Now, maybe there's another opportunity to
Right.
press our case here, just
Yeah,
just
agree
as an
with you.
option.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That's a
Yeah.
good idea. I'll follow up with them this week.
I mean, that means that we're actually getting somewhere.
Right.
So we're not getting anywhere, we're doing
Well,
something.
if we did get somewhere, then there would be some signal that we've actually accomplished something. Something.
Hmm.
So that then we could take the next step, like Claverick and Greenport, like, okay, we got this far now, how can we negotiate the next steps? Because it is going to be a negotiation night.
Mm.
I mean, maybe Fairview Avenue gets fixed.
Right, that is the one thing that's on, yeah, that is
And
the one
then-
thing that is on there.
The
Right.
supervisor takes, you know, she gets,
Yeah, she wants Fairview redone.
that's a disaster.
It is.
So maybe there's some opportunities there where she will feel more happy about relinquishing some of our, you know, giving us a little
Yeah,
chance. Claverick's another story, maybe one at a time.
It was interesting because I remember in one of our meetings with Freeport and Claverick, Claverick actually suggested
so the,
eliminating 9 and routing it to 9H.
yeah, because the Kippy, he's a truck driver and he knows
Yeah,
what's the deal, so.
So that's
he
why-
Suggested,
Yeah,
Yes, I
we
remember that.
applaud Kippy if we succeed, and then he'll see how
yeah,
we're doing and get behind.
Yeah.
Get excited, wanna help out.
Yeah.
But that could cost him his position in Clogger.
no,
You're
Sure
saying
thing.
you got your foot in the
You don't
Mr.
mind-
McCarthy just left. He's on his way out of the house, so you do have some consequences with these things.
yeah,
I've heard about that.
You know, a lot of trucks do use Spook Rock Road. That's my route to go to Hannaford.
Yeah. Which,
Spook Rock. The ADM trucks,
yeah, by the cemetery, yeah.
the gravel
Oh, yeah.
trucks, they all go down Spook Rock Road.
is that a route, is there a route number or is it just route route?
I don't know, it might be 29.
I'm not gonna
Like
answer
on the
that.
map, can you see it on the map?
I see 29, I think that's it. It's just at the bottom, just above the words. I think that's
There's
it,
27,
29.
29.
Spook Rock is so narrow.
Yeah, it's narrow, the truck, 2 trucks can pass by.
Oh, they can, it's just not, it's as wide as any of the roads we've been talking about.
Yeah.
But to expand it, I want to expand it. It'll be difficult to expand Spook Rock.
You think? Something but field
No, but when you, the one that,
by the river.
yeah, that's where it's very narrow.
Yeah.
Oh, you can put a stoplight like they do in, other side of the river. There's like stoplights.
Right.
Either side, yeah, both
Yeah, 'cause
sides.
they can't get under the bridges.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that, 9W?
Not, yeah.
Okay.
Where the Saugerties.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
with
under
sorry.
the
You
bridge.
stop at least
The, another train
3
track.
times. You know, I like it. Patience.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna follow up with DOT. When we hear back from them, and you can pursue, you can
And we'll see where we're
report,
at
you
at
can
that point.
prepare a letter for Dee. We'll take that next. I'm gonna continue with this, map has already gone to the council, so I think we can just let the council know we're gonna take that, I've already know, police department can pursue that. And that's what we've got for now. Anybody else have anything to add? No? We good? I have to try to figure out how to end this.
Shut the lid.
Pull that plug, it's usually not. So we're adjourned,
okay,
we're
it's
adjourned,
done.
right? Everybody's adjourned.
Adjourn.